The Urban League of San Diego County is on the front line of education and youth development, empowering workforce, housing, and financial development. We provide community health and wellness opportunities and civil rights and civic engagement. Welcome to the Urban League Today with hosts Abdallah and Herman Collins.
Homeownership has been central to the mission of the Urban League's national and local policies. And today, the Urban League of San Diego County will introduce the first in a two-part series, Overcoming the Economic Divide Homeownership. I'm Abdallah, Chief Operating Officer of the Urban League of San Diego County, joined by my co-host, Herman Collins.
Thank you, Al. I'm really excited about today's program. Generational wealth really is passed down usually through real estate. We don't have large investments that we're making in the black families, but the real estate, the home, is our largest investment. It also is the security that we look for in our retirement years, in our waiting years when we're looking for some place to be able to stay and to have that security. We've got a great panel today that will be discussing several elements of this, and we'll dive into it in just a second. But Al, could you tell the audience at least 3 programs that the Urban League has been running that deal with this overall aspect of ownership and economics?
Absolutely, Herman. And obviously, one of our core pillars is housing. We're a 5-pillar organization: housing, education, workforce, health and wellness, and advocacy. But starting with housing, we have a robust team of housing counselors who are out there assisting our clients with basic money management, spending plans, pre-purchase counseling, post-purchase counseling. We help our clients if they need to have their loans modified. If they are dealing with foreclosure, we help them with foreclosure mitigation. So we are a full-service HUD-certified housing counseling agency, and we have been in that lane for many, many years. And the communities look to us for that assistance. We're only a handful of HUD-certified agencies in the county, and you can walk into the Urban League office Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. and get services at no cost with respect to housing. Education, another one of our pillars. We have a very robust educational program. We have our college prep program called Project Ready, and we work with youth, 9th to 12th grade, getting them prepared for college. And obviously, acquiring, a top-flight education is key to being able to have an income to support a mortgage. On top of that, we work with the community in putting people back to work. We work with over 400 employers where they are willing to give people an opportunity to get employed, whether you have been in the system or not in the system. We do a lot of work in the reentry community. And we have even had reentry clients who have gone from being in the system to, we have followed them through their economic journey to where they become homeowners. So we're extremely proud of that program. In our health and wellness pillar, obviously we have issues in the black community. And at this point in time, it is with vaccines. COVID has ravaged our community. We are working with another nonprofit organization, Mid-City Can, doing vaccination outreach with the goal to be a trusted messenger and get people vaccinated. We have community health workers that call every day, getting people to go get their shots, whether it's the first, second, or their booster shot. And all of those community health workers, they're vaccinated. I'm vaccinated. Our CEO Ray King is vaccinated. So we are not only talking the talk, we're walking the walk. And we also, from a civic engagement advocacy perspective, we advocate for the community. We're there to be the voice of the voiceless. So, everything that we do at the Urban League around civil rights is designed to help our community.
Thank you, Al. Today we have joining us Eric Kofu, Alazud, Director of Product and Sales Development and Consumer Lending with CIT Bank. We have Mo Armez, who is Vice President of CIT Bank Centralized Organization Team, and Carlos Bolter Johnson, Senior Mortgage Specialist with CIT. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Urban League Today. I'd like each of you, starting with Eric, to tell us Tell the audience about what you do.
Thank you, Herman. Again, it's wonderful to be on here with you all. I've watched some of your podcasts, and it's a pleasure to join you in person. So thank you. As you mentioned, my name is Eric Kofi-Asiedu. I am the Director of Product and Sales Development for CIT Mortgage Bank. And in my current role, amongst the many things that I do, I assist with the execution of CIT's community involvement efforts by fostering strategic external relationship with our community partners. A good example of that today is our partnership with the Urban League. Thank you, and I'll pass that on to Mo.
Thank you, Eric, and Herman. Thank you so much for having us on here. So my name is Mo Umhaz, and I am the Vice President of the Centralized Sales Group. My role at CIT is to manage a group of originators that assist clients with their lending needs. In fact, I have with us today as well one of my best loan specialists, Carlos, who I can also pass on to introduce herself. Carlos.
Thank you, Herman, for having me today. Hello, everyone. My name is Carlos Boatner-Johnson. I'm a senior loan officer here at CIT Bank. My role is to assist home buyers, homeowners in securing mortgages. I work with first-time home buyers and seasoned home buyers as well. We have a wonderful product line. I can't wait to begin speaking about all the things that are available to you. Thank you for having me.
Okay, Al, I want to talk a little bit about the reasons why this discussion is important to both home buyers and owners.
Yeah, certainly, Herman. And thank you all to the CIT team for joining us today on Urban League Today. I would start with, the most important thing here is that, securing a home loan, and that is a wealth generator for any community. But I think it's so much more important in the Black community because of the historical inequities in home lending, because of disproportionalities. And, our goal at the Urban League is to build generational wealth. And the fastest way to do that is through home ownership. So I'm very excited to have the CIT team share with our audience all of their plethora of services that our audience can actually maybe circle back with CIT to discuss ways that they can actually take advantage of those services.
Great. Eric, I'd love for you to give us a little bit of history about CIT Bank. Those in San Diego may not recognize the name, and then tell the audience a little bit about the products and services, and then you can pitch to your team.
Well, thank you, all. Thank you, Herman, again. CIT Bank is a century-old leading national bank. We're focused on empowering businesses and personal savers with the financial agility and tools they need to really navigate their financial goal. CIT Bank has a consumer banking segment. This includes a national direct bank and a retail branch network of about 78 branches across the nation, 62 of which are located in Southern California. These network of branches, Herman, offer consumer and small business financial products. Since we're talking about San Diego, specifically in San Diego, we have 3 retail branches located in Escondido, La Jolla, Rancho Santa Fe. And our presence in San Diego also includes a small business administration origination team operating out of the Scripps Ranch in San Diego. Additionally, CIT Bank has a full spectrum of commercial banking channels. We have commercial financing, market banking, equipment and vendor financing, factoring, treasury and payment services, capital markets, and all, again, the plethora of services that a commercial bank offers. Now, regarding some of our products and services, I talked about the branch network offering consumer products, including checking accounts, savings accounts, a CD, certificate of deposits, and all your financial services that you would need in a bank. Regarding the CIT mortgage channel, we offer your typical conventional loan. We offer the Federal Housing Authority, otherwise known as the FHA loans. We also offer the Federal National mortgage association, Fannie Mae, and jumbo loans. We're ready to serve you whether you are a first-time home buyer or someone who wants to refinance their current property. And while I have this opportunity, Herman, I would like to introduce a program that we offer that offers borrowers up to $25,000 towards their closing costs, including the ability to buy down their interest rate. There are some income and property restrictions, but it is surely a trailblazer of programs to help home buyers. Last but not least, as an organization, we are led by a diverse group of experienced and strategic leaders. We take pride in the efforts to invest in our communities. We serve these communities, but including and offering financial education seminars and workshops. We sponsor and partner with investment and strategic partners in the local San Diego market. So we've been around, we've been in San Diego for a while. We hope to stay, and we're doing good work in San Diego, and we're very proud of it. Back to you, Herman.
Mo, tell the audience how home buying is changing and the access to lending may be changing. Do I go and get my loan approved first, or do I go and find a house first?
Thank you, Herman. I'd love to answer that. So here at CIT Bank, we are a full service lender. We do offer programs that really cater to all our clients' needs, really based on where they are in their financial career. We have first-time home buyer programs and low to no down payment options for first-time buyers. We also have portfolio loans that go up to higher loan sizes for those clients looking for their second, third, fourth home. So really we cater to all clients anywhere on that spectrum. But we also make it very convenient for our clients or even potential customers to really get a hold of us. And how we do that, we do have a centralized sales team that is really a quick phone call away. They're ready to discuss any of your mortgage needs, at any time. We also have our website for those who really want to, do some research on their own. There's some great buying tools on there. They could look up some payment options. They can look up some, reading material that talks about do's and don'ts during the mortgage process. For example, you always want to get pre-qualified first before you start going out and looking for homes, see really how much you can qualify for. So really all of that is also available online. We also have branches located all around Southern California, 62, 3 of them in the San Diego area. And really all of our branches are strategically located in areas to serve all demographics. And we continue to expand. For example, we just opened up a banking center in Jordan Downs as well. And that's on the retail side. We also offer services on the wholesale and correspondent channel, where brokers can refer their customers over to us. And that really opens up our products to, a larger group of individuals in Southern California. So it allows us to present our programs and really offer them to a bigger group. So really, at the end, we do offer, we do try to make access readily available to all customers to reach out to us, and we try to make it as easy as possible. And even on this call, I'd like to share some information too, which, if anybody's looking or interested or would like to reach out to us, we do have our website, www.cit.com/affordable home, or they can just call us 833-983-1723, and someone's available to talk to them at any time.
Thank you so much, Mo. Carlos.
Yes.
And I'll ask the rest of the group to join in as well. I've often said it's important to know your banker. Most of us have a relationship with a banker that just involves the teller, doesn't involve anybody else in the bank. You're the specialist in this area of getting people and getting their loans. How important is it to know the banker?
That's a great question. I do think it's important to know your mortgage loan officer. Sometimes that's not your banker. It's a mortgage loan officer that you can probably connect with through the bank. And one of the most important jobs of your loan officer is to consult with you. With your loan officer, they should be able to walk you through the loan process. They should be able to discuss with you very key points in getting a mortgage. One of the most important points is going to be like your credit scores. It'll be your debt ratio. It'll be assets. You asked earlier whether or not it's important to get pre-qualified first. And that's a great point there, because knowing your mortgage loan officer, they're going to be able to help you get pre-qualified, counsel you to get prepared to get pre-qualified or pre-approved. So it's very important to get to know your loan officer.
Great.
Mm-hmm.
I want to focus the conversation now pretty much in three areas, and I want to start with the first one because all of us have a fear really of banks and this discussion of redlining. Is redlining still an issue that I should be worried about? And is redlining just now centralized to the loan itself or to the appraisal? Or the appraisal, I would say. And either one of you can jump and talk about that.
Okay. Well, I would love to take that question on. For the audience to really understand what redlining is, redlining was a practice where investment in communities of color, minority communities, was not provided because the investors believed that the area was not beneficial to them. There was great risk in lending to that population. Yes, there was segregation around the 1930s or so. And the way that really impacts you today, you mentioned appraisals. The areas where redlining was prevalent, today we still see some inequities in the appraisal valuation process. There is a gap there. But overall, I'm going to say that redlining, is illegal now, right? The Federal Home Loan Act is there to protect consumers. CIT takes a very strict step in ensuring that we follow fair lending guides. And as a loan officer, personally, I want to ensure that all homeowners, but also because I'm a woman of color, I understand the thought process about redlining and appraisals. I want to be sure that customers are well educated and understand that that particular issue is now illegal. Mo, can you talk a little bit about some of the areas that we cover to ensure loan officers treat every consumer, with the highest of integrity and give them opportunity? And I'll just mention one more point, if I might. Our underwriting guidelines as well, we follow the guidelines for each borrower. And our appraisals are ordered through a third-party vendor, and we go through a very rigorous review process to ensure everyone is getting a fair review.
Carlos, can I jump in real quick and ask a question about the appraisal process? Now,
Yes.
I would assume that at CIT, you kind of know what the value of most homes are in certain areas. If an appraisal comes in that seems to be very low, what do you do to address that if it is a person of color?
That is really a great question. First, let me say, when we order the appraisal with a third-party vendor and we have a review process. And to the point of, whether or not it's a person of color or not, we treat our appraisals equal. So when the appraisal comes in to us, we're going to review it regardless. And if there is a question of value, there is a process by which we can dispute the valuation. But we use a lot of technology surrounding value as well. There's a lot of valuation models there. And we have experienced appraisal review boards that really take a look at value.
Mo, as Carlos has thrown it to you, I'd like to expand the conversation a little bit more beyond redlining and people of color. I'd like to also include in there gender. We know that redlining no longer happens to be an area. It could be a person or people. So female head of households are especially sensitive to the issue of redlining beyond people of color. And as well, then, if you'd like to expand upon to the appraisals, please feel free to.
Thank you, Herman. So I'll start off by talking a little bit more on the gender piece. So when we look at a loan, we are looking at characteristics of that loan, certain criteria, income, assets that are consistent with qualifications, not gender. So that part, is not really looked at when determining what the decision on a loan. In addition to that, we do report all HMDA data, and HMDA data is, ethnicity, gender, all that information. We do report it and review our stats to ensure that we don't see any discrepancy or any areas that seem to be too low or not within the general population. So that is reviewed from a corporate level, and we do collect all of that information. In addition to that, to really talk a little bit more about the appraisal process, we do use third-party vendors to order all of our appraisals. And in addition to that, we do conduct a third-party review by another independent appraiser, licensed appraiser, that will review the report that comes in. And if we deem at any point that there's any issues with that appraisal itself, we do send it back to the appraiser to justify his value. And if for whatever reason it is deemed to be unacceptable, we also reserve the right to order another appraisal. And that includes if we feel that it's being devalued for the area.
Okay. Eric, can we talk a little bit about community reinvestment? How are you guys doing with your CRA activities?
Yeah, that is a very good topic to talk about. It's a topic that is actively monitored. We actually look at our prior year performance relative to our current year, and even relative to our peer banks. We're always striving to be better than our peer banks. We also, to your point earlier, to Mo's point earlier, we invest in people and programs to incent and make sure that we adhere to the Community Reinvestment Act. And we do that in certain ways to also ensure that we provide capital to people of color. And I would explain that in a little bit here. You also know that I mentioned that this area has a lot of scrutiny. The bank's fair lending performance is examined on an annual basis, and we pass regularly. But it's examined on an annual basis by our primary regulator, which is the Office of Comptroller of the Currency, the OCC, and also by the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, the CFPB. So it's an area that we monitor closely, and like I said, we ensure that we're adhering to all of our deliverables that sometimes come out of the exam. In terms of making capital available, there are three specific categories or lanes that I want to refer to. We sponsor and partner with organizations that focus in these three areas. The first is our partnership with organizations that focus on affordable housing for LMI individuals. A good example is our partnership with the Local Initiative Support Corporation, LISC. The other lane that we also focus on is organizations that really focus on community services target to LMI individuals. A good example is the YMCA San Diego, Operation Hope in Escondido, the Boys and Girls Club of Greater San Diego area, and the National Diversity Coalition. And then the third lane that I talked about is the economic development lane, where we don't only sponsor, but we also partner with organizations like Greenlining Institute in San Diego, the National Asian American Coalition, the CDC for Small Business Finance Corporation, organizations like the Logan Heights CDC, Urban League for one. So there are areas that we're strategically looking for partners in the community that help with affordable housing for LMI individuals, that target LMI individuals when it comes to community services and economic development. And we don't only sponsor these organizations, but we partner with them in making sure that we assist with all the deliverables that they need to ensure that there's capital present in that community, including obviously the processes that we talked about in making home ownership available to these members of the community, and also the SBA, Small Business Administration department in San Diego that I talked about, that helps people of color who own small businesses that want to get a small business administration loan.
Eric, I can't let you off the hook. Is that you identified 3 branch locations in San Diego, Rancho Santa Fe, La Jolla, and Escondido, all which in many cases would be African American poor. You're not going to find African Americans in those areas. So if I don't see your branch location, if I don't know about your bank, is that a form of redlining?
Yeah, that's a very good question, Herman, and one that I think it's worth bringing up. I think what's important to know is a lot of these banks that we have, including the ones in San Diego, were branches that we inherited from the La Jolla Bank and the IndyMac Bank transactions or mergers that happened several years ago. Now, with that said, we always look at options of bringing up or building a bank branch in local areas like you talked about. I give you a good example. Although we don't have a branch in a predominantly African American neighborhood in San Diego, Herman, we do have a branch that we just built a year and a half ago, maybe 2 years ago, in the Watts area in Los Angeles, which is predominantly an African American area. So we're making these commitments to the African American and people of color in terms of the neighborhoods that we're building our new branches in. And definitely Watts is a start to that initiative. And in some cases, we might not be able to build branches, Herman, but we will be able to partner up with great organizations like the San Diego Urban League and some of the other organizations that I talked about to bring financial education, to bring capital, and to help develop that community and honestly provide that community what they need.
Right.
So I hope I answered your question.
You did, and I'm going to poke a little bit at Carlos right now and ask the question about loan production offices. Do you guys have any loan production offices that would show that there is a centrist or an interest within San Diego County?
You know, that's a really good question. First, I would say that I am a woman of color. I am a senior loan specialist here at CIT. So to answer your question, yes, we have people of color here at CIT Bank. And if that's important to a consumer to be able to identify and speak with someone of color, you have that here at CIT. You simply need call, and I'm happy to discuss loan programs with you if you're a first-time home buyer, to walk you through that process as well. And just another point to that, people of color are in our organizations, and sometimes they play roles in other areas, right? So it's not just your loan officer that's involved in a process. It's also maybe loan processors, there are funders, there are underwriters. You know, there are senior management here that are people of color, and so we understand how important it is to have representation. for our community, for the communities of color.
What I'd like to add to that is that for consumers, the reason why I said know your banker is because many times our only relationship with a bank is a teller. And a teller may be a good relationship to have, but when there may be questions about the size of your deposit that are coming in, it's going to be an operations manager or a manager that makes that decision. If they're looking for, if I'm looking for someone in the bank to give me a thumbs up as they talk to you, Carlos, about my character, that's going to be a branch manager. I always say there is more than one C in the overall application of credit. It's just not credit itself. It's character and capacity. And so if I can't speak to those other two legs of the approval process, I, as a consumer, am going to really be sad as I sit in front of you and I haven't taken care of those other issues.
Well, let me say this. Knowing your banker is a good start. You need to know your mortgage specialist. And I personally am a phone call away. We can restate our 800 number. And I believe that when you educate consumers on what it really takes to get a mortgage, yes, credit is very important. Capacity is very important. That's your debt ratio. And character is very important. Character, when you speak about that, we're talking about your credit, just to be clear. But yes, I think knowing your mortgage loan officer is a key. If you're comfortable with a person of color, all you need to do is call and we can hold your hand and walk you through the process. Might I give you just a little example?
Go ahead.
I'll give you a little example. So recently I've done some first-time home buyer discussions with people that I know, people who want to talk with me personally about, how do I get a home loan, Carlos? What do I do? And so for me, I think, all right, well, I'll tell you what we'll do. We'll just have the discussion about all of the key elements that you need to know before you even begin the process. Part of that is going to be, what is your credit score? Have you saved for a down payment? And if you have not saved, how can we find programs that are suited for you? FHA provides 3.5% down. Fannie Mae has a 3% program for you. So there are different products that we would discuss as well. And this process is one of getting to know your mortgage specialist. The rule of thumb is you need to speak with people you are most comfortable with, and they can help you navigate the mortgage process. It's not just your application. There is a process by which you need to get a mortgage. And your mortgage loan officer recognizes all those little intricacies as you're processing a loan file. Does that make sense?
That makes plenty of sense, and I will give you a little bit of anecdotal experience. I was buying a car, and I was having problems at the dealership at getting the car loan approved. I called a good friend of mine who was president of one of the local banks here in San Diego, and I said, Pete, I need help at getting a car loan. He said, Herman, we don't do car loans. I said, well, I still need a loan. He says, well, what we do is that we will give you a commercial loan that you will probably pay more interest on, and you can go ahead and use the car as security. If we don't know those integral parts of banking and how a bank maneuvers, and that becomes that issue, I say again, of character. Banks will work with you if they know you. If they don't know you, it makes it very difficult. And so I've always encouraged persons of color, particularly those that are in business, no more than the teller. You need to go upstream because there are always better fish upstream than there are by the time that you get to the teller. I'm not going to belabor that anymore.
I'd like to circle back real quick to the discussion around the Community Reinvestment Act. and we're throwing around acronyms that perhaps people in our audience are not familiar with, like LMI, which means low to moderate income. But for anyone on the CIT team, if you could please elaborate on CRA, what it is, and furthermore, why was there a need for CRA?
Yeah, thank you, Al. A very, very good question. CRA, which is Community Reinvestment Act, to your point, Al, basically stemmed from the fact that banks in particular were making a lot of profits and were not investing that back in the community in terms of loans, in terms of helping the community develop, and in terms of really giving back to the community. And so the act was enacted to really help bridge that gap so banks have a commitment towards the communities that they serve in and the communities that they represent. So to your point, the CRA commitment, like I said earlier on, every year we go through a CRA exam, and the regulators will come back and say you passed, or maybe you didn't pass, and even though you passed, there are a few things that you need to work on. And so we are mostly proactive in terms of some of the things that we have to do to make sure that we're serving our communities that we serve in. I talked about, it might seem very little, but something as simple as financial education, making sure that the communities that we serve understand the importance of credit, the importance of budgeting, the importance of savings. I talked about the Subsidy Program, which is a $25,000 program to help low to moderate income home buyers be able to afford a home. $25,000 will go a long way to be able to help them afford a home.
Is that a grant or is that a second, or is that a junior mortgage?
It's not a grant, it's a subsidy, and it's basically a lender credit that we credit the borrower. There are some income restrictions and property restrictions, but the customer doesn't have to pay that back. That's one example. We also have some portfolio product, and portfolio means that we keep the loan in-house, but we have some loans specifically designed to bridge the gap of home ownership for low to moderate income buyers. So there are several things that we've done to address that issue of Community Reinvestment Act, but hopefully I shed some light on it for you, Al. I know you're asking for the audience. And Mo and Carlos, if there's anything else that you want to add, please go forward.
Oh, thank you, Eric. And, to add to what Eric mentioned, here at CIT, we do conduct reviews of all of our loan products, and we do that thoroughly and frequently, just to make sure that all of our products can be offered to a variety of customers, and that they do not, discriminate or, base anything off race or demographic or even gender. So we do conduct those thoroughly to ensure that our products cater to all of our customers.
Well, I will throw out there as well, Eric, back to you, is that CRA really reviews what the delineated community is of a particular bank. So not having branches in San Diego County, and most of your branches being elsewhere in Southern California, San Diego would be a minuscule piece of your overall CRA review. That really is the new redlining, is that banks basically just don't open branches. Or if they open branches, they don't open them in particular communities so that they don't become part of the overall delineated community. And then absent a loan production office, it really makes it very difficult to expect that there's going to be a lot of volume in San Diego. I'm not picking on CIT, but the consumers will ask these questions themselves and then ask, well, why didn't Herman ask that question? Because they're smart, and they trust me And so I'd kind of like to get your reaction from that.
Yeah, Herman, that's a question for me, right?
Yes.
Okay, great. So you're
make a
right.
big buck.
You're right. San Diego is a community, or obviously a city and a county that's very important to CIT. And I talked about, although we don't have a specific branch in a specific neighborhood that you're referring to, Herman, I talked about our partnership and support in the San Diego area. And the list goes on, honestly. I just mentioned a few. As a bank, what we have to also look at, Herman, is our commitment to our low to moderate income neighborhoods, right? And so I talked about Watts being a good example. We are a national bank, so there's branches across the country that are in LMI communities. For this conversation, it's not in San Diego, but it doesn't mean nationally we don't have branches in other low to moderate income neighborhoods. But you know what? This is the second time or maybe third time that this question can come up outside of this conversation. So it is important that as we look at probably expanding, and there's an option to expand, we have a voice, and we're going to make sure that it's loud and clear around the importance of San Diego as well, in review with all the other low to moderate income neighborhoods that we need to take into consideration. But the bank is, I want to leave this topic with the bank is fully committed to our CRA objectives. The bank is fully committed to supporting low to moderate income neighborhoods with partnerships in that neighborhood. That's where we think a lot of the work can be done. Sometimes when we don't have a branch, but we can partner with the local organizations that really deliver the services to the community. That's where a lot of the work can be done. And so I hope I've elaborated on how we look at everything as a whole from a holistic point of view, but we're committed to it. And, in an era where banks are not building more branches, Herman, we committed to building a new branch in the Watts district, which says a lot about what is important to us and what our focuses are.
I definitely respect your response, Eric. I think it's good in general. I also recognize that retail branches are not income centers, they're expense centers. So, I mean, you're not making any money when you open a branch. It is costing you that. That's how come I asked about loan production offices. And I'd like to be able to introduce you and your team to some of the large producers in this area that are African-American realtors and African-American mortgage brokers that I think can help get your product out there. I've recognized in many cases it usually is that real estate agent or that mortgage broker that is going to direct me in the right way because they have a comfortable relationship. So it's just not about branches, but it's about how you're attacking and what your plan or strategy is for that delineated community. But thank you for your response. Al, I want to get back to you, make sure that we've answered everything that you're looking for.
Yeah, I think the one thing that I wanted the CIT team to comment on was their down payment assistance programs. And Eric, I'm not sure if you were going to speak to this a little bit later in our podcast, but I think now is a good time to elaborate on, what do you have out there? People are looking for, ways to get into homes. And obviously, home prices are escalating, all across the country, and certainly in Southern California. You'd mentioned a $25,000 grant, so to speak, but are there any other down payment assistance programs that are out there where the customers are truly not going to have to pay that back and they're not locked into staying in a home for a number of years and being forced to pay it back?
Yeah, great question again. There are several down payment assistance programs, and kudos to you and the African American Down Payment Assistance Program that your team is working on as well. There are two programs that I want to highlight here. The first is the CIT Affordable Home Mortgage Program, which I talked about earlier, is the $25,000 subsidy, or we call it lender credit. And what that means is that we give you up to $25,000 as long as you meet some income and property parameters or criteria. Now, this credit, or this $25,000, remember it's up to $25,000, you don't have to pay it back. So I don't want to use the word a down payment, because it's not really a down payment. It's towards the closing cost, and you can use that to buy down your interest rate. So it really helps someone afford a home just with the credit of $25,000, and they don't have to pay it back. And like I mentioned earlier, it's really a trailblazer in the industry, and one that I am very proud of, that CIT put this together to specifically help the low to moderate income families that we're talking about. In addition to that, we have a portfolio program, and portfolio again means that we keep the loan with us, that we don't have to sell it to the Fannie Mae and the other organizations that buy mortgages. And what that is we have, if you meet some income requirement, we have a zero down payment program, where if you find a down payment program somewhere else, like the WISH program or some other programs down payment, we could work with you for zero down payments with that down payment assistance to be able to use that product to get into a home. There are some income requirements that you have to meet as well. But there's 2 or 3 programs that we think will really help that community that we're talking about. I know this team on the call has done a lot of work around that in helping borrowers get into homes by using these programs that I'm talking about. And we'll love to talk to anyone that is interested in hearing more. And so, again, there's down payment assistance available all over, some in San Diego, some in Orange County, all over. And we can work with the realtor, the loan officer, the home buyer to see what fits their need. But specifically for us, the Affordable Home Mortgage Program can go a long way to help someone get into a home.
Is your portfolio program funded at $1 million or $500 million? I guess I'm trying to get an understanding of how much you're carrying in portfolios.
Yeah, Herman, I don't have those numbers handy for you. But what I can tell you is that we have not been asked to put any brakes on allowing home buyers to use those programs, which tells me that it is available. It is here to stay for now, and it's available for homeowners when they want to use it. But I don't have those hard figures for you today, Herman.
And then on the subsidy or the credit program, is that funded? At what level is that funded, or what level are you carrying right now?
Yeah, that's a very good question. So we have some money set aside for that portfolio program, for that lender credit program. We've used about half of it for 2021 through 22. And there's another chunk that is scheduled to also be available as well. So that is also, for lack of a better word, in the near future, that is also here. But all of these, Herman, as you know, the bank reserves the right to put a stop to it at any time based on a lot of factors, but there are no factors or no indicators that lead us to believe that we're going to put a stop to all of these. And for now, they're available, and we're committed to making sure that home buyers can leverage those funds that we have available today.
I really appreciate that, and I'm going to try and bring this discussion to a close because we're kind of getting towards the end. I'd ask consumers really out there, particularly that you look at specific programs and products before going to any bank. Do some research on what buying should look like. Look and see if you need credit repair. If there are first-time home buyer programs that are more available to you than others. We didn't talk about silent second programs here, but there are some silent second programs that are available through different resources, whether it happens to be through lists, through the Housing Commission, through some banks. You may want to look at that. And then there are some direct purchase programs. I would encourage all of you to research a program called NACA. That's NACA. NACA is a purchase program that if you go through the program, they don't look at your credit worthiness, they look at your income worthiness. So they're really looking at that capacity, and they will fund the loan based upon that capacity, and as well do a silent second program. So there are a lot of programs out there that are going to be able to assist you. I want to thank each of you for participating with us today. It has really been a pleasure to hear from you and to have an open discussion because I know banks like to market, but as well then consumers have questions and don't always feel comfortable, but you guys have given a comfort level to CIT Bank that will be remembered not only by me and other members of the Urban League, but anybody that views this podcast. Al, as I pitched in the beginning, this is the first of a series. I want you to talk a little bit about the Black Homebuyers Grant that you have and what that focus is so that we can really kind of tease individuals what the next segment of this will be.
Yeah, great question, Herman. And actually, the San Diego Black Homebuyers Program was launched in August of this year, so 3 months ago. And it was a coalition between the Urban League, where we're providing the housing counseling, the pre-purchase counseling, the post-purchase counseling, looking at people's credit, their budget, in essence to get them prepared to own a home. And we help them to get their HUD certificate, which allows them to qualify for a down payment assistance program. In this coalition, we have the Urban League, we have LISC, which Eric mentioned earlier, Local Initiative Support Corporation, we have the San Diego Foundation, and we have two lenders, Union Bank and Point Mortgage, but the initial lender was Union Bank. And in this particular program, the Urban League was tasked with finding 35 home buyers in 12 months. That means closing 35 escrows in 12 months. And when we first launched, we thought that's gonna be pretty challenging in this current market. But what we found is that this great coalition, along with our realtors and our home buyers that are willing to perhaps maybe purchase a condo as opposed to a tract home, we've been able to actually overperform in terms of our goals. The goal was to close 3 escrows per month. And we're 90 days in, so we're 3 months in, and we've closed 12 with another 13, 14 that are kind of in the pipeline where these individuals have pre-approval letters and they're out shopping with their real estate agents. So we're very, very pleased with the program. It has been smoking hot. The phones have been ringing off the hook at the Urban League. We knew there was a lot of demand for this, but when you're able to get up to $70,000 in down payment assistance, where you do not have to pay that money back, for many people it's like, hey, this is what I've been waiting for. It's the first of its kind in the country. We actually have been highlighted on CNN. We've had a couple of our home buyers that were interviewed on CNN as well. We intend on having a press conference where a couple of our home buyers were able to talk about their experience and to let people know that this is possible in San Diego County, where you can actually buy a home and the program works. Our counselors are working like crazy to get these home buyers across the finish line, but they're getting it done. And so we're very pleased with that program and with all the partners that are in the program. So we're going to hit that 35 number, I would imagine, probably within the next 3 months, which means that what do you do in the next 6 months after that? Well, with the success of the program, our hope is that we'll have additional investors that come into the program and bring in more money. We're talking $1.25 million between the San Diego Foundation and between LISC. So we want to overperform because we want to get more homeowners, more Black homeowners into homes, again, as I mentioned earlier, because it is a wealth generator.
Great, great. Viewers, stay tuned because that will be our next program that we have up in a couple of months so that we can talk a little bit more about that Black Homebuyers program. Eric, I'm going to give your team one last opportunity to get the last word in before we end this segment.
Well, thank you, Herman, and congratulations again, Al, and to the San Diego Urban League. And we are excited that you were willing and able to host us today. Hopefully, we took the time to shed light about CIT and the great work that we're doing in the communities today and how we can help potential home buyers. Al talked about the down payment assistance program, and we're actively working with Al and the LISC organization to see how we can actually participate. So thank you for that opportunity again as the conversation continues. But thank you. This has been a wonderful and a great opportunity to really highlight CIT Bank, and we appreciate it. Thank you.
Welcome, Eric. We look forward to working with you.
Great. Thank you so much. Look forward to you again. Please always tune in to the Urban League today. Al, thank you for the opportunity to produce and bring this to the San Diego community.
Absolutely, Herman. Thank you so much.